Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about ancient civilizations and the development and progress of man from agriculturalist to the present times. So basically, what is civilization? Civilization is when man started living a complicated and complex life. His life became complex because there was more urbanization, more development, as well as administration, infrastructure, and division of labor or work. So, by and by, when man became more and more complicated, his nature changed, and thus we had civilizations. Cradle civilizations or early civilizations mainly developed in certain locations and regions of the world where man began its settlement, especially near the river valleys. And these ancient civilizations include the Mesopotamian civilization, ancient Egyptian civilization, ancient Indian civilization, ancient Chinese civilization, as well as there's Cradle civilization of Peru and Olmec civilization of Mexico, which is also included in ancient civilizations. All the ancient civilizations that you must have read about are mostly situated near floodplains. Floodplains have been the ideal places for development of human settlements because rivers they provided both water as well as for irrigation purposes, transportation, and also the level land was used for agriculture, habitation, or for other kinds of trade and businesses. Such an example is found in an ancient civilization of Mesopotamia, which is also called as Assyria, which flourished on the fertile lands between Tigris and Euphrates River of southwest Asia, which is now called as Iraq. Sumerians have the earliest record of human civilization. They possibly lived in the Bronze Age. The human record that we can obtain right now from the earliest time was around 5000 years back, which came from the beginning of the Sumerian cuneiform script, which was in the form of writing. So, before the Sumerian cuneiform was developed, the people of Sumeria used to have spoken language which was called as Akkadian and Semitic language. Later on, it was replaced by Sumerian cuneiform, which was pictographic writing. Cuneiform is the earliest known written language which was used in the Middle Eastern countries. It was pictographic and was used and written on clay tableaus. These tableaus are made up of clay or terracotta. Most of our information about the Mesopotamian civilization comes from mainly two cities, which is Erech or Uruk and Jamdet Nasr. The Sumerians were mainly farmers and they grew abundance of grains where the surplus was even traded with other regions. Initially, they had migrated from North African Sahara region where they used to depend upon hunting and fishing and lived around the marshlands. Later on, they started living in mud brick huts as well as started irrigating fields because there was abundance of water. They were even pastoralists who kept herds of sheep and goats for various purposes. There were mainly two empires at that time, the Akkadian Empire, which existed around 2270 BC, and then there was a dynasty of Ur, which was around 2100 to 2000 BC. The people of Sumeria were mostly polytheistic. Polytheistic are those who believe in many gods. So they had many gods in their daily life. Most of the activities that the Sumerians did was to please their gods. And they also believed that there are very powerful gods who lived higher up in the mountains and even beyond in the sky. So they started building monuments which are called as ziggurats. Ziggurats are huge constructions or structures which look like mountains. They were also called as the mountains of gods. So they are basically the temples where they used to pray to the gods, especially the moon god, which was called as Nana. The Sumerians were great artists. They are not good sculptors, but they used to make handmade jewelry as well as colorful mosaics with intricate patterns. Their jewelry was made up of shiny gold as well as various stones like lapis lazuli. Archaeologists have excavated and found various remains like mosaics, pottery, jewelry, harps, helmets, tableaus, as well as seals. Ancient Sumerians also prepared vases, bowls, and dishes, as well as jars for keeping honey, butter, oil, and wine. Wine was made by fermenting dates. They even wore headdresses made up of feather as well as gold and jewelry. Ancient Sumerians also prepared beds, stools and chairs, knives, wedges, bows and arrows, daggers, as well as metallic blades. They followed the lunar calendar and even had improved technology like cuneiform, arithmetic, geometry, irrigation, agriculture, and other tools. They also prepared and made sandals, chariots, harpoons, and beer. Ancient Sumerians also had long docks along the rivers so that the ships can be brought and can be held in these docks. The ships also brought clothes, jewelry, wine, and there were also banquets and parties with music, dancing, and feast. Ancient Chinese civilization, which has a very rich culture and it has also a very ancient tradition. Chinese civilization flourished between two rivers, Huanghe River and Yangtze Kiang River, which is the base for yellow soil. Ancient Chinese civilization is as old as 5,000 years. China comes from a Sanskrit word Sina, which is pronounced as China. So the Chinese civilization became very famous through trade along the Silk Route. Silk Route used to be a network of Eurasian trade routes which connected with ancient China with the Far East, Europe, as well as the Middle East. China was known to the Romans and the Greeks in ancient times as Cyrus, which is the land of silk. Marco Polo, who was a famous explorer, had popularized China in Europe in the 13th century. Though in China there are several dynasties, but the major and the most richest culture has come from major three dynasties. The Zhou dynasty between 1046 to 256 BCE, the Qin dynasty between 221 to 206 BCE, and the Ming dynasty which was between 1368 to 1644 CE. The Shang dynasty was one of the most powerful amongst all these dynasties in China. Most of the people during the Shang dynasty were basically warriors and they had fought great wars. Even the terracotta army is very famous, which is at the mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, depicting armies of the emperor. This is a kind of funerary art. The Chinese were not only great warriors, but they were also great silkmen. They were very skillful in weaving as well as in pottery making. And also they created paper, gunpowder, compass, tea and porcelain. The Chinese porcelain is famous all over the world. It was made up of kaolin, then quartz and feldspar. And this type of porcelain is extremely durable and translucent. Even it exists now and is procured in various parts of the world. Mostly the porcelain of China flourished during the Ming dynasty, but the best porcelain, which is also known as blue and white porcelain, has come from late Tang dynasty. The Great Wall of China, which is a series of watchtowers, walls, as well as fortresses, was built and constructed by the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, who tried to protect his Qin dynasty from invaders and nomads from outside. This was built between 771 to 476 BC. The total length is around 21,196.18 kilometers. This attracts lakhs of people from all over the world to visit China. Thank you all for watching. In this video, I have spoken about Mesopotamian and Sumerian civilization as well as Chinese civilization. In my next part of the video, I'm going to talk about ancient Egyptian civilization and Indian civilization. Please share, like and subscribe to my channel.